Was it right for the Prime Minister to say he's drawn a red line? Now, with this phenomenal Chinese strike power, what do we do if they cross the red line?
Well, Alan, I think it's no different, frankly, to the language that the Americans have used. Their envoy, Kurt Campbell, was in the Solomon Islands only a couple of weeks ago and spoke about what would be acceptable and what wouldn't. And that's essentially the same point the Prime Minister was making. We don't want conflict in our region. We want a normalised relationship with an important trading partner in China. But we can't pretend that nothing is going on. And the Solomon Islands has given an assurance about there not being a military base on the Solomon Islands, and we take them at their word. But we have to be very clear as a country that our defences and the defences within our region are absolutely paramount.
Right.
And
well, so
that's what we'll continue to focus on.
That being the case, then, what about Daru, where China are building an industrial city? Now, Daru is one of Papua New Guinea's most impoverished provinces. They're calling it China a multifunction fishing industrial park, which is an absolute lie. But my concern is that you can get in a little rubber boat and get to Australia in 3 days. But they're going to build a $40 billion Chinese city, hardly a whimper from Canberra, and there's been hardly a whimper from Canberra about it. What are we doing about Daru?
Well, Alan, there's a proposal there. I don't think that project's going to get off the ground, is my honest assessment of it. I think there's been a lot of talk, a lot of interest, a lot of intent, no doubt, but no execution. And that conversation, I suspect, will go on for some time with the traditional landowners and others. But I don't believe the project comes to fruition, and Australia's made its position very clear. The government has been very strong in relation to saying that we don't support a project of that nature on our back door, and we will do whatever we can to continue to protect our interests.
But see, Peter, I was reading today comments by a CIA operative who said that China were going to build, his words, wharves, warehouses and support facilities and a naval base. I mean, this bloke, a former CIA FATIS operations officer, said it would be accurate to look at China's vast fleet of fishing vessels as a militia rather than a commercial enterprise. Their mission is to expand China's sphere of influence. China fishing vessels are armed and their crews are trained by the People's Liberation Army. Now, Peter, if they get control here of for example, the area in the Timor Sea around the straits to the north of Australia, this is where all our oil comes through.
Well, Alan, as you've seen with the Belt and Road Initiative for some time, and you don't need to rely on the intelligence or your imagination here. Look at the words coming out of the Chinese Foreign Affairs Department and the spokespeople. They've been very clear. The president himself has been very clear about their ambition, both toward Taiwan and more generally. The Belt and Road Initiative has been out publicised for people to see across Africa, across the world, and this shouldn't come as any surprise. It's only that people have pretended that nothing's happening or have been convenient for them not to pay attention and not to recognise the reality.